Welcome to this edition of Humaneers. I'm Dan Pierce, content strategist here at Bigwidesky, and I am joined by
your fearless co-host for this episode, Jeremy Newlick. I'm more so interested in the person that we're featuring, our first feature in this relaunch.
our first guest.
Our first, yes, guest for this rethinking of the Humaneers. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ashley Dodge. I'm the director of the Denver office of Bigwidesky, and if you're not first, you're last, right? So I guess here we are.
What a great movie. What a great film. It is a cinematic masterpiece. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for choosing to talk about Talladega Nights. All right.
Absolutely.
So what is the symbolism of a cougar in that? No, I'm just kidding.
Are you calling me a cougar, or I don't?
No, I was referring to the cougar that was like in the car with him, and then on the car.
Absolutely. Yeah, It's definitely a metaphor for facing life's biggest challenges, fast paced with additional stresses, right?
Absolutely. What do you think, Jeremy?
The wisdom of Talladega Nights really deserves its own episode. We could even devote like a episode 2.5 just to really study the subtext. There's so much there.
So subscribe on Patreon for those bonus episodes. And
That's right. Yes,
Yes.
Go to our Patreon. Indeed.
Yes. Actually, I was going to start a Kickstarter for like a sequel.
I like it.
We are so honored to have you on this show, Ashley, and for a number of reasons. Before you joined up with the Isle of Misfit Toys at Bigwidesky, you were a client, and apparently it was a good enough experience that you were like, "Hey, I really want to join in." So, talk to us a little bit about your journey. What's your life been like? In that span of time between when we were working alongside you and then when you decided, like, you know what, I'll join in with this band of humans.
Actually, my introduction to Bigwidesky was sort of my introduction into marketing. Before that, I'd only worked in nonprofits, and so I didn't really understand that communications, marketing, branding side. And so it was really cool to engage with the substancing and evaporation processes. I was just like floored. I had studied psychology in college, but I hadn't really seen it be applied in the real world. And so it was really cool to go through those steps and see how that was articulated and helped me do my job as a director of community partnerships and fundraising at the job that I was at when I was a client. And then we just stayed in touch. Jeremy, you always were a fantastic mentor, and I was a super fan of all the Bigwidesky stuff being shared, and I would like it and pass it on to people. And so 5 years go by, and we kind of reconnected. I kicked it around in insurance for a while, and that was not my favorite industry, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for people who can make insurance approachable. And then I did some consulting for the last 6 months, or first 6 months of the year, and then found my way here, actually jumping on what was it, like a Clubhouse call? I think.
It was. I was gonna say, Elliot and I like wandered onto Clubhouse just like two people, mouths agape, just kind of wandering onto the platform, and Ashley just showed up and was just amazing and like set us straight. And I think something that's a natural thing for her, like any platform or any situation that's designed around connecting with people, particularly like people who have interesting ideas. And I think probably part of what drew you to nonprofit is, people who have at the heart of what they're doing some kind of bigger mission, something that's bigger than them, is a thing that you're just like drawn to and you innately understand it. And I was just like floored. You just like showed up for us, and you were this like guide into the Clubhouse world for us. And that was what got the conversation started around like, well, why in the world isn't Ashley part of Bigwidesky? Why hasn't that happened?
Yeah, when I tell people that's how I got my job, they don't believe me. They're like, what?
I got my job through Clubhouse.
I
The
keep
5
hearing
ways
about
I
this.
got my job through Clubhouse by Ashley. You can post it on your LinkedIn.
I'll do that
I
later
keep
today.
hearing. I keep hearing about this Clubhouse platform, but like I have an Android, so like it's just not available there.
Actually, it is, but it's okay. You can
See, here it is.
Groucho Marx it. Yeah, you can say like, I don't want to be a part
Oh,
of a
man.
club that anyone will take me in.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
I
a
wouldn't want to
really
be a
bad
part of
Dance
a
quote.
club.
allowed. There's a sign on the app, no dance allowed.
Indeed. Indeed.
Absolutely. One thing that we were, talking about in the previous episode, Jeremy and I, about like common threads that we seem to have and what's led us here and stuff like that. And you've talked to me about this, and this is something that connected you and I when we were first getting to know each other, Ashley, is coming from Northern Illinois in the DeKalb area. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, I've spent some time in DeKalb. I know this place. Jeremy went to Sycamore. You went to DeKalb. I went to Huntley. Like, this is all familiar stuff for me.
Yeah, well, Jeremy's repping some colors for, I don't know if anyone's just listening to audio instead of getting the video, but Jeremy's wearing the Sycamore Spartan colors.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, I had to represent my Sycamoron status. Indeed.
Yeah, my family's
Indeed.
lived in like the Northern Illinois area for a really long time, so I call that home. But I also call St. Louis home because Big White Sky is there.
Oh.
Northern Illinois. I love being from there, but I
Yeah.
don't want to live there. I live in Colorado,
Also,
so
yeah.
I live in
Yes.
Colorado, so it's. I mean, you can't beat 300 days of sunshine. So
That's
nice.
pretty cool.
Right. I mean, and that taking you out to Colorado, what was that story like? You just went out there and you were like, I vacation enough times that why aren't I just living here? Is that as
Yeah,
complicated as it got?
that's pretty much it. I think that's how everyone is out here. A lot of my high school friends that I still keep in touch with are actually just out here. So we all just live in the neighborhood and have migrated.
What's your favorite haunt out there? Where do you like to frequent?
Oh man, I go to a place called Tacos Tequila Whiskey. It used to be called Pinche, but for those Spanish speakers, that might need to be bleeped. But it's so I
I
go
don't
there a
know.
lot.
Do we have
I
like a Spanish language explicit
don't,
now on this episode?
so yeah, I go there a lot. Other places here in town. There's a Chicago bar over here that sells Malort, so we go there sometimes, bringing it back to that
Nice.
Northern Illinois that tie.
Does it have people there with a lot
Yeah,
of heart conditions drinking old style? Because that would
yeah.
be pretty
Oh,
authentic.
it's pretty authentic. Every time I go in there with a Cardinals hat, I get booed. It's rough.
Very thick mustaches.
Right.
And big bomber jackets that have just an orange C on them.
Exactly. Yeah. But when I'm not there, I probably go to there's a golf course nearby me that I just walk across the lawn and go into their clubhouse and hang out at the bar. I just had a fundraiser there last night actually for Jamaica. We're raising $40,000 worth of transportation for sending $400,000 worth of medical supplies for 3 hospitals in Haiti. So I'm there a lot at that clubhouse, and so
You're
that's where we chose
still
to have our fundraiser.
just so active in that nonprofit
Yeah, I
space.
can't
You
get
know,
rid
it's
of it.
like,
Yeah.
no, it's like every time I talk to you, you're either about to go to a fundraiser, you just went to a fundraiser, or you're talking to someone about how to support their fundraiser. You know, is it just like a sphere that you're like, I have to stick with these people who have a
Money.
mission to accomplish? Money.
No.
We're looking for money.
No, so like if you think about it, like the people that go to fundraisers are usually people that have capacity, but also have that drive and are connected to the mission. And so you know a lot about someone just by meeting them at that nonprofit, right? And so it's really helpful for me to support other nonprofits that aren't even necessarily the ones that I've on some young professional boards and stuff like that. But I find that you find like-minded people, and those are the people that are also passionate about other things. And the kind of work that we do at Big Wide Sky is also heavily related to mission, purpose, position. And so it already tees you up to have great conversations, because most of the people that are at those benefits aren't, nonprofit managing the nonprofits. They're actually people that are supporting them. So I think it's a great way to network. And yeah, I like it.
That's so awesome. And that ties in so well with like what you like just transitioning into your role at Big Wide Sky with the networking. I mean, I've never encountered someone that is able to network as effectively as you. I mean, half the time I'm talking to you or calling you or, messaging you or whatever. You're like, oh yeah, I'm coming back from this networking event. Oh, I grabbed coffee with so-and-so. Oh, I was at this thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
many things. I barely leave the house.
I mean, going from consulting where I'm like working at the like on my own all the time and being a single like sole contributor to literally just being a walking billboard and hitting the pavement was definitely a gear change for me, a gear shift for me in June. But I love it. It plays to my natural strengths of connecting with other human beings. But it does get tiring after a while because a lot of people don't know this about me, but I am a huge introvert. Like I have to block time in my schedule to just not talk to anyone. And my phone's on do not disturb after 5 p.m. So I usually miss a lot of calls that people are like, hey, let's hang out, because I'm just, by the end of the day, I'm just overprogrammed and I'm done.
I would call complete bullshit on that only because I've watched you interact with people and just seen how amazing you are at connecting and how much energy it seems to give you. But the reason I won't is because I have actually been at like a post. We had a big day. We did a lot together. We did all this work. We did some work on an identity for, a group together and co-facilitated it. And you're so great with them and interacted with them for hours and hours and hours. And we're kind of at that like post all day thing where you're just hanging out and you're just like,
Smoking cigars.
smoking cigars and you whatever. And then suddenly, like in the middle of me talking, Ashley goes, actually, guys, I feel like I need to go home and shower. This just smells like too much cigar. I'm going to leave now. Okay. You guys can keep talking if you want it, but I'm going to leave. All right. Here's a short version of Jeremy's
It
story.
was like at 5 o'clock too.
And you were just like, it tipped
That's
over.
right. Yeah, so you have this like long version of the Big Wide Sky origin story, and I just was like, here's the TLDR version in 160 characters or less.
You were like, bump.
And then I apologize to you later, but like I just hit a wall at a certain point. Like I can be on when I need to be on,
Sure.
but it's not that I don't like people. I'm not a misanthrope. I'm not like asocial. I need time to recoup,
Well, I get it. I mean, I've seen it. It's a common theme these days. A lot of folks who identify and perceive themselves as introverted. It seems to me anyway that there's been more media, more books published about introverts, what it means. What are the things that you rely upon to manage your energy? Knowing that a large portion of your role, with Big Wide Sky is sort of evangelizing, getting the word out there. Where do you get your energy? What do you do to feel like you have enough stocked up to be effective?
Look, my accountability buddy at Big Wide Sky is Dan, and he is this like unrelenting source of optimism.
For those of you just on audio, Dan did some good voguing sort of poses.
Oh, was that a cat sound?
I kind of did that. Yeah.
Amazing. No, but Dan is definitely great. I have fantastic colleagues that are really good at recognizing when I'm able to like respond. So making sure that like I'm doing good time blocking and setting expectations really helps me. But I also spend a lot of time just hiking on the weekends with my dog and not talking to people. And they'll be like, why didn't you invite me on that beautiful hike? And I'm like, that's kind of the point. Not to talk to anyone.
Right. No, it reminds me, I did this story years ago on this guy named Ari Weinswig. He started a company in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with a partner, Paul Saginaw. It's called Zingerman's, and it's like this world famous deli. and they grew the business to a certain size. And it was just this cool entrepreneurial story because they felt like instead of franchising the deli concept, they just loved Ann Arbor. So they wanted to create this community of businesses that all served Ann Arbor. So they diversified instead of like with the model of the deli, they did different like food adjacent, kinds of businesses all in Ann Arbor. And Ari was largely a lot of the visionary behind a lot of that. And is, I mean, just out the gate, you can tell someone who has a very rich inner life and spends a lot of time in thought. And I remember, I went, and Daniel appreciate this, because I traveled to Ann Arbor for this story. And I'm thinking, because I got word that Ari likes to run. Well, I like to run. So then I'm like, Ari, and I had in my head, like, what a cool intro to a journalistic article, right? Like, hey, I'm running next to Ari Weinswig and we're running with his dog. And I had this idea in my head for this angle, that was going to be really fun, and here's how he overcomes challenges in business and all this stuff. And so I'm like, Ari, I heard that you run. He goes, yeah, I do. And he's like, and I said, well, when do you run? Well, about 3:00 or so. Usually that's when the restaurant dies down. So I go for a run. I was like, cool. Hey, could I go for a run with you? He goes, well, I run with my dog, and so you'd have to deal with that. And I'm like, I don't care about a dog. I don't. That's fine. We can run. And he goes, well, it's really like it's a hot time of day, so I don't even know if you'd really even want to. I'm like, well, I don't care about the temperature. That's fine. And then finally, like on my third ask, he's like, look, dude, I don't want to run with you. Okay.
Right.
I don't, that's not happening. So that's the way it's going to be.
You can't just glom onto runners, man.
Well, it's like that was his thing. Like he had to show up and be this extroverted manager for, and leader. And then he's like, I need my section of time. And then I can come back in the evening reinvigorated and ready to go. And me being a natural extrovert, I'm like, I don't understand what that need is. Like it was not even hitting me. I'm like, I don't even get it.
Well, that's the problem with the introvert extrovert. Like there's ambiverts too, and I think that we have this like dichotomy. But the problem is that like by nature of the way that they have their attributes, introverts are just so misunderstood because like they just prefer, they get their energy from like being alone. And I'm like that person. And you guys are really kind because I am like super obsessed with my dog, but he doesn't talk. He's perfect, whereas you guys like are what, animal neutral, do you say, Dan? What are you?
I'm pet neutral.
Pet neutral in general.
Yeah, it covers all pets.
He's extra neutral.
Yeah, I mean, animals are fine. Like I'll go to the zoo, the St. Louis Zoo, great place, fantastic. I used to go to Brookfield a couple times, back in Chicago. But yeah, I'm more pet neutral than animal neutral. Like I'll watch like Tiger King and I'll be like, oh, those poor animals. But like in terms of pets, it's like, oh, I don't want that.
Yeah, you want to be the fun uncle to pets, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't even want that. I, for example, like I've trained my in-laws' dog from the time that they picked him up as a puppy or her up as a puppy to leave me alone. And I've trained this dog to leave me alone, and she's finally understanding, no, he doesn't play.
Oh, wow, really? My dog has this weird cat thing where he will like run up to someone, and sometimes it's not even people that we know, but he just is convinced that it's someone that he must greet with excitement, and he just runs away, and people be like, is that it? Is that all the love I'm getting? But 90% of the time, I'll just show you, he's just kind of, for the listeners, you can't really see it, but my dog is just passed out, and that's pretty much just, we have a good thing going. He doesn't say much, and then when he's ready to have dinner at 5, we kind of do that blue plate special, and that's my life, man. So
if
I get
only
it that
more
people
were like Han,
I know, right? Well, I just like, he doesn't ask for much, right? And I think a lot of people, when you are connecting with them, especially in meetings, at the end there's always like, so like this is what they're looking for, right? Or whatever. Sometimes people don't get to the point until the end of the meeting and stuff. And then they're like, well, what are you looking for? I'm like, how can I help you? And I was like, I think we already talked about that, like this isn't a Midwest goodbye. We had an hour blocked off. This is the time. I will be on for that hour, and then let's wrap it up and like say some niceties and be on our merry way.
Yeah, there's a weird sense of expectations there where like they have laid out what they need, but then they look to you and like, is that okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's okay because you need it. And so
Right.
I am here to facilitate your needs. It's overly, it's a lot of politeness. It's a lot of kindness. And I appreciate that to a certain extent. And then it becomes like, all right, let's figure this out. Nothing's going to get done if we continue this polite thing. So
Right.
eventually we're just going to need to put a plan together to execute your vision.
Right. It's like, oh, no, after you. No, after you. It's like, no, seriously, just tell me what you want, and then we'll start from there.
Yeah, the Spice
But
Girls said it right.
people don't really feel comfortable sharing what they want. What was that?
I said the Spice Girls had it right.
What you really, really want.
Actually, yeah. Is this the part of the segment where we like you belt some Spice Girls?
Oh, no, that was actually the intro for your belting of the Spice Girls.
Which
Got
Spice
it.
Girl is Dan though? Is he Baby
Ooh.
Spice?
He could be Baby Spice. He's got that like supple skin. You look so young, man. Like I don't know.
I'm not that young.
He is young.
Someone just asked me if I was 40.
Gosh,
I'm
that sounds
30.
really
What's your
terrible. That
secret?
must be so old.
Like, Jeremy, whatever. You're frozen in time for me. Like you haven't aged since 2015.
Well, that was, I mean, whatever, 7 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. I guess. No, I need to go back to the settling this who's which Spice Girl thing, because this is the important question.
Is there a carrot spice?
No, there's no carrot
Do you
spice.
not know your Spice Girls?
There's a
Is it
carrot
like-
top, but not a carrot spice.
ginger spice?
There's ginger spice.
There we go. There is ginger.
Are you not going to weigh in on this, Dan?
There's ginger, there's baby, there's sporty, there's
Sporty,
posh, and there's scary.
Scary.
Oh, you do like sports, but do you walk around in a sports bra? Like, I don't feel like that works.
Like I'm wearing a White Sox shirt right now. Like I don't know.
It's kind of sporty.
It's kind of the closest thing to a sports bra that you can wear. Yeah. I think that works. I think we determined Dan's. This is good.
Great.
I feel better about that.
I feel like we should probably go back to talking about the Harry Potter houses. I feel like that's better.
Have you not taken the actual quiz? Have you?
The actual quiz, like it's official or something?
Oh, it's
Or is it, like,
official.
BuzzFeed?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's official.
Is
There's
that
like a
every
sanctioned
year
one
and you-
apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's. Go ahead.
I don't even want to be in one of the houses. I want to be in one of those like visiting schools from the like Goblet of Fire or whatever.
That'd be cool. Nice outsider sort of view. Makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, without having
What
to
do you
like
hear
settle
me?
for being a muggle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'd probably be a muggle. Yeah. Just like zero talent, just showing up. What is this?
You would be whatever house, you know, all the Quidditch matches just have to end by 5 p.m. As long as that's the
Right.
case, then it's just fine.
I
I've
feel
had
like
enough
it-
Quidditch.
I mean, where did Hagrid come from? Like, was he a Gryffindor or something?
I have no idea, really. I don't know much
I-
about Harry Potter.
I'm not very versed in Harry Potter either.
Fair enough.
I'm glad we covered
Yeah.
this topic.
I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
Well,
I
that's
just
the
don't know
thing.
that much about the Spice Girls.
That's okay. That's fine. We can discuss other things that you are interested in. What
Music
what
are you
does-
listening to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not fair, Jeremy. You know I don't listen to music.
Which podcast? Which was the latest podcast that you just listened to? Which was the latest audiobook /book?
I know, right? So I listen to a lot of lectures and podcasts, or not podcasts, books, but sometimes I listen to podcasts. Lately, I've been listening to that Japanese writer that Jeremy always has to correct me on pronouncing his name,
Haruki
Harukami.
Murakami.
Yep, that's the one.
Hmm.
So I was reading, what is it? I was listening to Men Without Women, and it's like a compilation of his short stories, and it's a bit dark and sad, but it's really good. Yes, yes.
You
For
referenced it
those
the
who are
other day,
listening, it's so good.
so I started reading
Um,
it. It's pretty great.
yeah, and did you ever read the Languages of Truth,
No,
Salman Rushdie? I sent it to
I
your
did not.
house.
It's sitting right over here, right in front
Okay.
of me. I
I'm like
haven't read
those
that one.
people that I like those people that start doing like doing CrossFit and stuff, and they want everyone else to like get on the CrossFit train. I'm like that with books. I'm like, I read this book, it's gonna change your life, and people are like, I don't read books. I'm like, no, but this one's good. Like proselytizing novels that no one cares about, but everyone's got to have their thing.
I think it's great. I mean, you have a lot of just natural curiosity, and I think that, yeah, I mean, if there's always something that I thought was like, man, Ashley is a big white sky humaneer. It was, even in our initial conversations. Well, you know what I should do, actually? I'm going to back off this book theme. We'll come back to this. But my first introduction to you was via a conference call where you were called
Oh
in because
no,
we were performing, I think it was a substance.
it was halfway through the substance thing. I wasn't even like in the first like 15 minutes, 20
Right.
minutes.
So Ashley comes dropping into the call, and the reason that she was remote, well, there was twofold. I don't remember the precise reason you were remote. I remember you were remote in the days before COVID. Calling into into Brennan's where we were doing this exercise with your group with Commonwealth, and why let the
So you're
listeners know
drinking
what it is you're
whiskey. You guys
right
were drinking, well, you weren't, but like everyone else is
somewhere.
like drinks. Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting more and more sort of boisterous, and then the information comes out that Ashley was trying out for a show, for a TV show concept.
Yeah, we were working on scheduling or something, and I was gonna go out to Los Angeles for this reality show called Hunted. They were had done it in England, and so they were trying to bring it here, and it was like being produced by the lady who did some runway thing. I don't know. I signed an NDA. I'm not sure if I can talk about this, but here it is.
That is,
Anyways, we went out to we went out to
I signed an
LA and
NDA. I
like
can't talk about it on this official
I know,
podcast.
right? I don't even know. We went out to LA and like did these auditions, and I mean the premise is kind of scary. It's like basically they just go through all your phone records and try to predict where you would go if you had to run, like be on the run from like the FBI or whatever. And they're like, "Well, how do you feel about surveillance?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like that doesn't really bother me." And so I was that weirdo on auditions reading 1984, trying to figure out how I felt about surveillance and stuff. And they were like, "We just find you so fascinating." And they were doing the test screens for like the video, and they paused and they're like, "I'm sorry, I just have to get this." And there's like rice in my hair, and she was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, I had to just like ate sushi in the hallway on the way here." And she was just like just I was just the most unpolished person, not camera ready at all, and she was just like amused and disgusted all at the same time. But luckily, we didn't get it because I don't think I would have been able to handle it. Going on the run, it just sounds terrible.
Right. So the show, essentially, the way that you would sort of win in this reality show scenario is by being the least findable, most off the grid person. Yes. I mean, that's
Right.
the concept.
But they go
And
through your
it's
internet search history and stuff to like find out your habits that
so,
like
so to find out how you felt about being surveyed, you decided to read 1984
yeah,
just to see how you felt about
yeah.
surveillance. Makes sense.
I feel the same way about love. Like when I was like first trying to figure out the whole love thing, I was like, like romantic love. Like, what does that even mean
Right.
beyond like the platonic forms and
You
stuff,
read
right?
50
And
Shades and you were thinking
no,
about,
I read Eric Fromm's The Art of Loving, and I feel like that's a great
oh,
manual for understanding love and human connection. So I don't know. I figure if you can read a book about it, you can figure it out, right?
see, the connective tissue on this was already there, Dan, and I didn't even know.
Mhm.
Look at that. It's
It's
like a
true.
continuation of the book thing. Didn't even mean to. What I found
Perfect
fascinating
circle.
in that circumstance, anybody who, in my mind, would be open to that kind of an experiment or like simulated kind of reality where it's like, I'm going to go ahead and test out the boundaries of what it would be like to live like that. That's just really cool, you know?
I mean, I came back from another like drinking session at that job from flying in from St. Louis into Denver, and my friend who asked me to do this really wants to be on The Amazing Race, and so he was like, "Hey, like, will you audition for this reality show with me?" And I was like, "Sure, like I'll say yes to anything after 4 whiskeys." Like why not? Like sell my soul, because you literally sign a contract that says you can share any photos, anything that you find in like this person's life, and there's no semblance of privacy. Luckily, the show like didn't become like a thing because I feel like we already are probably in this age of internet that is way too invasive anyway.
Right. So you were like already getting a taste of the metaverse
Yeah, exactly.
without the metaverse being official.
Hmm.
It's
Exactly.
interesting.
For sure.
What when you think about your trajectory at Big White Sky and the kinds of things that you want to be doing, what do you see in your future? What's next for you? What's exciting to you?
I love working with clients that have a lot of vision. And right now, Denver is particularly in this inflection point of a lot of really exciting space stuff again. And it's really cool to see how it's really opened up beyond NASA and the government. And so there are a lot of really cool companies here in Colorado, daring to explore the unknown. And that's what I love about Big Wide Sky is that we're kind of industry agnostic. We love working with obviously clients that have capacity to grow and want to shape the vision in their own trajectories. And so I really like working with those visionary clients. And I think that there's a really good appetite for that here in Colorado of investing in vision and having that be articulated in the way that they communicate or build their websites or show their brand in different ways, whether it's a billboard or whatever it looks like on the outside, and tangible marketing assets, but also beyond that, right? Because sometimes people come to us and they're like, well, I have this thing that I need, and it really is more of an idea that they need and an execution, and it gets bigger and bigger. And so I really love the opportunity to just listen and see how we can help people. So my idea of what I'm doing at Big Wide Sky is really just connecting with more um, wide reaching groups that want to make a difference and build a legacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're also finding new ways of connecting because upcoming, you have your show coming up.
Right. Ad infinitum. I've been practicing that word, trying to pronounce it.
Ad infinitum. I can finally pronounce it now. I'm so proud of myself.
Ad Murakami is the name of the show.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully it's like not necessarily like ad infinitum as in like the legal sense of just being repeated to exhaustion, but hopefully it's more of ad infinitum as in the limitless possibilities, trying to tie it into big wide sky, that notion of a big blue sky of options.
Definitely, definitely. I'm so excited for you and the projection of your future and you setting on this path in Colorado. That is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I love, reaching out and pushing yourself, pushing the boundaries. I think that there's a little bit of an explorer in me that likes to go on those journeys. And I also find similar people that are looking, at that same point in their life where they're exploring and pushing the boundaries, which can look
Mhm.
different for different people.
For sure, for sure. Now the big question, Jeremy. what movie has Ashley seen that she doesn't think I have?
Top Gun? You haven't seen Top Gun.
I haven't seen Top Gun.
Oh my gosh.
Oh!
I have not seen Top Gun. I've played the NES video game of Top Gun. I have not.
How do you even know how to play it if you don't have the original source material?
Right, exactly.
Because movie tie-ins on video games back in 1989, 1990-ish were so loose and just, it's like, oh, this is a flight simulator.
Oh, it's not a volleyball simulator?
No,
Don't they play
no,
volleyball in that? In
They
Top
do
Gun?
the sand volleyball, the shirtless
Yeah.
Val
I believe
Kilmer.
it's called
Yeah,
Hanging with the
Obvious-
Boys.
that's right.
Obviously, I
Yeah,
have different memories of that movie.
right, right. You need to discuss those on a future episode of Humaneers when we have Beth on here. Just ask her about that scene in Top Gun. She'll go on about it for some time. Don't you worry.
That's fantastic. Beth is amazing. I love all of the humans that work at Big White Sky, but Beth is hilarious.
She really
Her
is.
delivery on her delivery on one-liners is priceless because she is usually very like on the ball with like trying to get through agenda items and stuff, and she makes sure stuff happens. But sometimes she'll get a little silly and just like slip in a one-liner, and I just love it so much.
You won't see it coming. You won't. Because you'll
No.
think that she's just sitting there all innocent and everything, and then it's like, go bam. Yeah. You don't see it coming. Well, we need to go back to this show. So I think you tied into it really well when you talked about this. There's an aspect to Ashley. I mean, largely, you can start to put this together with even why you're in Denver, why you're really excellent at the things you do. This idea of seeking, of exploring new territory. You know, I think that there's something to that, and I think that there's something to this like attracts like sort of thing where you naturally have built this network around you of these other seekers, these other people that want to go out and hey, just because this is the way people have always thought about something, or this is the mindset that people have generally used, what's something new? Or what if I just didn't play by those rules? What if I made my own game? Um, I mean, do you feel like that's accurate in terms of that thing about you that you just innately are, or that you are intuitively, and therefore the network you've built?
I think
You still
my
there?
internet's
Mm.
buffering. Absolutely. I think that my network, like you said, like my meets like, and I also feel like the people that I surround myself are forgiving of the fact that I'm maybe not like standardly neurotypical or have the same experiences as other people. And so I don't even know that I'm thinking differently, if that makes sense. But I also celebrate that diversity of ideas and experiences. And I try to come from a place of curiosity over judgment. So the people that I surround myself with happen to and choose to spend my time with, because we all have finite, limited amount of time that we're going to be willing to spend with people. We might as well pick the quality time with the quality people. And so I think that my network just naturally lends itself to that, and supportive people, not people that are takers, but people that genuinely want to help other human beings. And so my network has been basically my family in a lot of ways. Whenever you get like life setbacks or anything like that, you can really lean on the people that have consistently showed up for you. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I try to instruct that in other people as well. Like, invest in the people that invest in you and pass it on as much as you can, because you just never know when life is just going to, throw you a curveball again, and you want to be prepared.
Absolutely.
Dan, what do you think about her show?
I'm super pumped. I am super excited for her to start exploring, the stories of others and really exploring the limitless possibilities of that. I'm just super excited for her to start exploring this medium and the the kinds of people that you naturally gravitate toward and within your own network, and even people that you don't know, and being able to explore their experiences and their stories and their businesses and what problems they're facing and what challenges, keep them up at night. These issues are so common in between us as professionals, us as people, that I think oftentimes we look to divide ourselves based on those problems when in reality, we should be connected by them.
Oh, that's so
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Well said. Well said, both of you. Yeah, I mean, I think that I have a lot of gratitude for, well, for both of you, but and for this show concept, because I think it really does come down to like we don't have a lot of time. Like when you really start factoring it out, uh, and the whole span of history of humans and what's possible for us, we're just not here that long, you know?
Right.
And so why would you then waste another moment doing something that um, is just getting you through, or, like you have to do those things happen, but like, why wouldn't you make the most of the time you can with the people that can create new meaning for circumstances that otherwise you might not, have the best meaning or the best ideas about them. And so I think what I'm really grateful for is that between the two of you, producing a show like Ad Infinitum that I think multiplies, the value of that time and that connection, by you sharing it with people um, in the way that you project to do with this show. You're letting people into maximizing, like getting the most out of this time that we have to share with one another, and seeking possibility. And I think that if you were to ask people like how much time do you spend, doing things that you just try to get through, versus like how much time do you really spend thinking about what's possible? How much time do you spend thinking about a new way to think or approach a problem? The answer I can almost always count on from people is, well, not enough. Like I don't spend enough time thinking about what's possible. I don't spend enough time thinking about a new mindset or approach. So I'm grateful to both of you for stepping out, doing this, making some meaningful connections, producing what is bound to be an inspiring show.
I'm
Thank you so much.
excited. I also think that uh when Dan brought up a podcast, I was like, "Oh my God, everyone has a podcast. Why do I want to do that?"
He
But
did the
the
Oprah
more I
Winfrey
thought
thing. You get a
the
You get a
podcast, and you get a
podcast. You get
podcast,
a
and you get a
podcast.
podcast.
You get a
right.
As opposed to the Bill Simmons thing where it's not
No one gets a
everyone
podcast.
not everyone gets a podcast.
Amazing. I don't know, but back to podcasts more generally as a medium, it is that exchange of ideas that I think is really helpful, because then it makes, I mean, for the podcast that I listen to, it's 100% the reason I listen to it is to feel less alone. Even though I'm in a room by myself, I'm like cranking something out via email or whatever, and I just want something that's a bit mindless in the background while I'm like doing dishes or folding laundry or something. I love podcasts because it uh, introduces you to a different way of thinking that other people maybe have, or conversations that other people have, that you get to make those connections in a new way that makes you realize that you're not alone, and there are infinite possibilities out there that you just hadn't explored. But if you don't have that exposure and you don't seek that exposure to new ideas, you'll continue to have those feelings of not having a lot of options. And so I think there's a level of hope that comes from podcasts, and I think that's probably why I was so reluctant for so long. Was like not listening to podcasts. So why would I listen to podcasts? Why would I have a podcast? I didn't really get it, and now I see the communities that come from that, and um, a lot of marketing can sometimes just be like, how do you find yourself at the right point at the right time for your product or service or whatever, right? And podcasts are a great way I often encourage people, like, hey, if you have a friend that has a podcast or whatever, like, have you guest on there or something. You don't have to have your own podcast, but support that person. And then whenever you're on it, share it and make the most of it. And then 3 weeks later, share it again. Like, let people have that exposure and uplift others. And that's kind of what I try to do on social media as well, is not just use my own platform for my own sake, but try to lift up other people's voices as well. So I hope that that's what Ad Infinitum is an opportunity to uplift some really cool voices and perspectives.
I couldn't agree more.
Well said.
Agree more.
I'm
Totally
inspired.
rambling there.
Said.
I'm sorry.
Best episode of Humaneers ever.
Absolutely. It's such a fantastic episode. And thank you so much for joining us, Ashley. We really, really appreciate it. And I'm so excited for Ad Infinitum and getting to work with you and getting to share in those sort of conversations with people within your network, people without your outside, just all sorts of different people, and really just, helping to grow us as people and Big Wide Sky in general.
Thank you so much, Dan. I think you're awesome. Jeremy, always a pleasure. See you guys on Friday for the holiday party.
That's right. Just a few hours from now, we'll actually be like in human form. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
We won't have to in a few hours.
Right.
Wow. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, if you listeners or watchers have any questions or comments, you can email me at dan@bigwidesky.com. You can check us out on Spotify, on Amazon, on Google,
Patreon.
We're all over the place. No, we're not on Patreon. We are not on Patreon. We are not on Kickstarter. We are not on any of these other platforms, but we are on several podcast platforms. Podcast One, Player FM, Deezer. We're on Deezer. Well, yeah,
all the platforms.
We're on most of the things. We're not on all of the things. I'm looking at you, Apple. All right. Well, until next time, take care.